Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a third-person action-adventure game developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts. Released in April 2023, it serves as a sequel to the 2019 title Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Set in the expansive Star Wars universe, the game continues the journey of Jedi Knight Cal Kestis as he navigates the challenges of a galaxy under Imperial rule. This review will delve into various aspects of the game, including mechanics, a narrative structure, audio design, and my overall experience playing on my PlayStation 5 Pro. But before I begin, huge shout out to my true love Brent Cassina for letting me borrow his copy. This was not a game that I jumped out to buy, and honestly, after playing it, it's fun, but it could be better. All right, let's jump into gameplay mechanics first. It builds upon the foundation of its predecessor and does so by enhancing and expanding the overall gameplay experience. You're going to once again play as Cal Kestis, wielding his lightsaber and using the Force to combat a variety of enemies. The game introduces 5 distinct lightsaber stances. You got single blade, double bladed, dual wield, cross guard, and my personal favorite, blaster. Each stance offers a unique advantage and is tailored to various combat scenarios. So, for example, the double-bladed stance excels at crowd control, allowing you to basically take out enemies quickly and in kind of a wide area of effect attack. The cross-guard stance, on the other hand, is a lot slower, but it is significantly stronger for taking out some of those tougher bosses like that really annoying Rancor that we spent way too long fighting. Players can equip 2 stances at a time, so you can switch between the 2 depending on your playstyle, which is really nice. Adds a little bit of flexibility to each encounter. The combat system focuses on kind of that offense versus defense. It's not nearly as punishing as a game like Demon Souls or Dark Souls, but it does kind of force you to play defense at times as well. You can also parry and dodge, which is great when you're fighting some enemies that have those more complex attack patterns. Successful parries will stagger opponents, which create openings for attacks. But I gotta admit, honestly, sometimes the fluidity seems to take a back seat. Janky is the word that comes to mind here, particularly when you are in the middle of a combination and you get hit and you're not quite sure where the hitbox is and you're not quite sure when you actually get control of your character again. I would say that it's a robust combat system overall, but it doesn't always seem to align with what I'm doing. Now, I will say playing on higher frame rates does help a little bit. 30 frames per second seems like it's almost unplayable in a game like this, but I will admit that as cool as it is to see Cal flip and twist and twirl around his lightsaber, I didn't feel like at times the action matched up to the health indicator bars that I was seeing on the screen. In terms of travel and exploration, I think it's significantly improved from the first game. You're going to continue to do lots of crazy exploration, just like you did in the first game. You're going to get the wall running. You're going to get the double jump. You're going to get the air dash eventually, which is going to make navigation feel more fluid. And just like in the other game, it is a Metroidvania. So if you want all of those treasures, I'll talk about those at the end. If you want all of those treasures, well, you are going to have to come back a few times because you're going to see stuff you just can't interact with, and you're going to have to come back later and open that door or blow up that crate to get every little piece of gear. So there will be a lot of revisiting. But thanks to the fast travel system, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it also felt kind of like a checklist at times, honestly, too. The nice thing is you're going to get the Ascension cable very early on in the game. This will function as a grappling hook, which adds a lot of verticality to the game as well. There are also mounts available in very, very specific places, which is nice for those fast travel moments. The game design, I feel like it wants to encourage exploration. There are side quests, there are hidden collectibles, there are legendary bosses that you're going to find scattered throughout the world if you want. However, I never felt like the reward was there. We'll talk more about treasures here in a minute. As far as the narrative structure, I don't want to get into spoilers here, but I'll say that it did provide, I think, an okay story. A little bit deeper into Cal Kestis and his quest as a Jedi Knight. There's some good themes in here. I feel like the Empire does play a large back seat, which of course it does. You know, these guys are working under the shadows of the Empire, so to speak. Cal is trying to put the band back together, essentially. And I feel like the first part of the game is just him kind of stumbling and bumbling just through a series of serendipitous moments. He stumbles across people that he once knew. His ship breaks, so he has to go to the planet, and then he has to get a part, so he has to go to a special cave. And along the special cave, he finds an android that helps out. And it's like, okay, it didn't feel like that Lord of the Rings, like, here is your quest going forward. And honestly, had the early events of the game shaped differently than they started, I argue the game's plot was going to be wildly different. And Cal just kind of happened to stumble and bumble into what he did. And honestly, given the amount of time that they had to create this game, I would have liked Cal's character to have more of a centrally rooted mission, kind of something that he was working towards, rather than just kind of stumbling through everything. That said, the characters are voiced well, they're acted well. I like the graphics. I like the subtlety that they have in the characters, the nuances, the way, as you're talking to a character at a bar, they're actually drinking out of their glass and they set it down and you hear them sip. And little things like that I feel like added to some of the finer attention to detail, even though I didn't really emotionally resonate with any particular character. And maybe outside of Cal and BD, just that partnership is so cool. But it didn't really resonate with me in that sense. So there's also other things to do in the world as well. Like I said, you got the various side things. You can hunt down some bounty hunters. You can play a little tabletop game they have, which I didn't really do a whole lot of. You can bring NPCs back to the saloon and give them stuff to do. In general, I think like the side quests added some variety in world building. It definitely made the world feel more alive. Every time I visited somewhere, more NPCs were talking, more things were happening. So I felt like I was part of a larger universe. So I think they nailed that like Star Wars feeling to you're not alone in the galaxy. It just didn't really matter. I didn't think it mattered. As far as audio design, man, I got to say, to me, this is the standout feature. And I played this game almost exclusively using my Shit Hell 2 with my Sennheiser HD 660S2s. And oh my God, does this thing sound so good. You got that insane, iconic hum of the lightsaber, and it feels good. When you're fighting people, when you're swinging through enemies, that clash and that hum of the lightsaber, it hit really, really hard. And it made combat feel much more tactile. And I loved that. I really felt like I was a Jedi when I was really getting into it, the way that I jumped and dashed and everything, the way that sound package came together, it sounded incredible. Tons of environmental audio in this, ambient noises, bustling spaceports, this eerie silence when you land on a planet and you don't even know what the hell's going on. Absolutely contributed to this. I know that this says that Respawn pedigree, and this reminds me a lot of what they did with Titanfall 2, where they released that high-quality audio file, those like 60 gigs of like Ogg Vorbis lossless transmission files. You probably don't remember that. If you're a PC gamer, you probably remember Titanfall 2 getting a massive audio patch later on. I don't remember it coming to consoles, but it just sounded so good. So I feel like that's Respawn's like hidden superhero power to give you amazingly insane audio. This to me is a showcase game in audio, and if anybody was interested in exploring high quality audio, I would recommend this is the game you check out to compare your various rigs, because you will absolutely hear a difference in this game. I thought the voice acting, like I said, was great. A lot of the characters, they had a distinct feel or emotion to them. You can tell that it wasn't phoned in. Obviously, you got the nod to John Williams there with a pretty iconic score in the background. And I really, really like that. I think the audio package, like I said, absolute standout. Now, in terms of performance on the PlayStation 5 Pro, where I actually played this game, I think it's, it did good. It was stunning at times. I think that's probably the way I can say this. There were some great environments, some of those dynamic lighting effects, like especially in the lightsaber going through caves, when BD is scanning something, the way it casts shadows around you, the way the water ripples, the way that some of the darker levels and more kind of Star Wars corridors popped. I played it pretty much a lock 60 frames per second. I never noticed any dips at all, which was great. But I know that early on the game suffered some major criticisms. That's one of the reasons why I didn't play it when it first came out. I know early on there was a lot of bugs and glitches and frame rate drops, and they went through a plethora of patches. Digital Foundries covered all of them, and I think a lot of them have gotten better. There are still some weird moments. I was fighting a Rancor in a cave, and my cape became incredibly pixely. I mean, distracting pixely. There's sometimes some water ripple effects that don't seem to look very well. I think these are artifacts of some of the older Unreal tech that still lingers in console development today. But make sure if you are playing this, you're playing it on a Pro. I mean, that's all I could say. I'm sure it looks fine on regular PlayStation, but man, it absolutely pops PlayStation Pro with an OLED display, with HDR. It was stunning, crystal clear, gorgeous graphics. And it really, when you couple that with the audio design, man, oh man, do you get a just amazing experience. And I'll wrap it up with Treasure. I teased Treasure a couple times in this review, but I want to give it a specific section here. The problem I have with a game like this is they're trying to make you care about the world, okay? They're trying to make you be kind of a lone wolf, going out, finding exotic treasures, getting into legendary situations that you have to platform and fight your way out of. And you got the great combat system, you got the force powers, you got the stat points that are going to slowly level up your character, which give you more abilities. But the lining I think that was missing here, I think this game needs a light RPG touch to it. When I spend 45 minutes trying to figure out how to beat an overpowered Rancor in a cave, okay? I navigate through a cave. It's clearly a total optional thing. I didn't have to do it. I get to the end. It's a larger-than-life Rancor that is literally one-shotting me. Literally one-shots me. Now, maybe I could say, hey, you know what? I'm not supposed to be here now. Let's put a pin in it. We'll come back in 10, 15 hours. We'll try again. But as I'm fighting him and I'm learning his attack patterns and I'm kind of going through that Dark Souls grind, I'm getting better. I'm able to fight him, get him down to like 3/4 health and half health. And finally, I beat him. It's like, wow, I beat one of these insanely difficult bosses. What's my reward? What do you think my reward should be? Should it be a cool lightsaber hilt that, you know, gives me more attack or fire-based attack, or, you know, it's something I can keep with me? Or what do you think I get? You know what I got? I got a little bit more force meter. That's what I got. In other instances, fighting larger bosses, I got a lightsaber hilt color. So my lightsaber, the hilt, which is about 1 millimeter on my screen because, you know, Cal's holding it and you can't see it because his hand is over the hilt. I got a different color palette for that. So now I can have like a matte finish instead of a glossy finish. Incredibly unrewarding. So much so that after I did the second optional boss, I looked it up just to see if I was missing something, and I realized they're all like that, and I quit. So all that stuff I said about exploration and traversal and world building and the audios and the environmental, all that picture comes together. They nail that package. And then the payoff of, other than just standing in the world and smiling because you're hearing some of the best audio design you've ever heard in your life, instead of hearing all that and enjoying that, all I'm doing is running through it now. I don't want to explore anymore because there's no payoff for exploring. And that's what brings me back to this review. It's like, it's always 2 steps forward, and then it's always 2 steps back. I don't understand the lack of reward in a game like this. I don't want to dress up my character. I don't want to give BD 1 blue racing stripes instead of red racing stripes. That's not a reward to me. Cosmetic rewards in a game like this that has a tendency to be punishing. In a game like this where you are doing that Metroidvania type exploration, where you're going into another world and you're finding treasures that you have to come back and repeat. I want those repeat moments to matter. I don't want to go back to the same planet 14 times for 14 different colors of a lightsaber hilt. I want to go back and get new abilities. I want to go back and power up my character. I want to make that journey matter, and it doesn't. And that is why, even though I am enjoying my time with Jedi Survivor, I don't think it's a particularly great game. I think it's a phenomenal showcase game, I think it's something that shows the power of PlayStation 5 Pro. I think the audio design, like I said, is some of the best I have ever heard. The graphics are great, the character design, the modeling is great, but they absolutely missed the carrot and the stick concept. And for that, it's not as fun of a game as I wanted it to be. I hope you found this video review interesting and informative. Sound off in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on Jedi Survivor. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.